So the stories that I'm going to tell, it's kind of like a mishmash, a blend, and they're going to be about more. So how I interpreted this was who do I put on a show for in my life, and as a kid, I would perform in school with for my family and my friends, and as an adult, I would perform in all my jobs, in my relationships. But today, it's more about the who and not so much the what. So my first story is about my grandma. Everyone loves a grandma story. I was babysitting her a few weeks ago. It was a good time, and we used to be really close when I was younger, and then I turned 12, and I decided, no, I don't want to hang out with old people anymore. I only want to hang out with my friends. I'm over that. And you can say it, what a little bitch. Now that I'm older, I realized that at that young age, I felt like I needed to perform for her and do things at the church for her, when I wanted to run around, be quiet when I wanted to be loud, and be the best granddaughter and make old people love me. That is one of my top tier, I got this, old people love me. I know how heartbreaking that moment was for her, and knowing what I know now about her life and all the things that she's gone through, I'm still trying to make up for it, but now as my authentic self. But the one question that sticks with me is, why do I worship my grandma so much? And I still don't know. If anyone can tell me, I would appreciate it. Whenever I get to see my grandma now, I try and treat her like a queen. I'll go get her food, I'll get her a beer or a scotch, her preferred liquor, tastes like shit to me. And I always try to find a good movie that she hasn't seen, but she's seen everything. She might not remember it, but she has seen it. So usually halfway through the movie, it'll click and she'll go, oh, okay, I remember this, I've seen it. If that could be a job, then I would be Employee of the Month. She likes rom-coms, nothing scary. She likes crime dramas though, because I'm tired of rom-coms. I'm tired of When Harry Met Sally. I've been there, done that. And I want to see some grit. I want to see the dirt. And while looking through the streaming movies, I found Training Day. Has anyone here seen Training Day? Yeah. So yes, I have seen Training Day a long, long time ago, and I forgot what it was about, but I remembered that it won some Oscars. Denzel Washington was in it. She's a big Denzel fan. And I was like, this is the one, Grandma. It's a crime drama. This is going to be so good. She winced through the entire movie at every shit, at every fuck, at every bitch. And I kept trying to remind her, it's Denzel. Don't worry, it's Denzel. You love him. You love him so much. No. Her attitude totally changed. She was curled up in a ball in the chair. She had the blanket up to her eyes. There was so much blood and gore. I was like, is this the same movie? I completely forgot. And especially at the end, when, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's just a lot of guns. There's a lot of guns. So the whole time, this is just awful, Hillary. This is just awful. Why did you make me watch this? Oh. And I kept saying to her, okay, you love Denzel, but I can turn it off. We can watch something else. We can watch whatever you want. No, she had to be persistent. She had to make her way through this movie. And her review of the movie was, what did I just watch? So now I'm a little sad about doing that, putting my grandma through this horrible, horrible time, because I'm afraid that she's not going to take my movie recommendations anymore. And I used to work at Blockbuster as a semi-professional movie critic. Okay. So speaking of Blockbuster, this makes me think of another time that I needed to perform. This is one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite memories. For Take Your Kid to Work Day when I was 14, I wasn't allowed to go to work with my dad. He worked at Stelco, go Hamilton, Stelco, as a millwright. You know, I could have had those big gloves. I don't know what they do other than big gloves and glasses. I don't know. And I couldn't go with my mom. My mom was in market research, and She would go to malls and talk to people and ask them, like, do you like this product? Do you want to get a free coupon and come with me to this back room and watch this commercial and tell me what you think and get a free coupon? But it didn't align. That would have been fun too, actually, but it didn't align. So I asked my middle sister, my sisters, Heather, Holly, Hillary. That's funny. It was great. I love it. It was the best part of my life. And our last name's Ostler. Ho, ho, ho. So I asked my sister if I could go to Blockbuster, because Blockbuster was the shit. The best. The most fabulous place to work. You get to talk to people about movies all day? Are you fucking right? Sign me up. Of course, I wasn't saying this at 14, and not to my sister, who is now a police officer. She's very strict. But we used to fight over everything. We used to fight over getting each other a glass of water. That I remember. I have a paper that says, Holly will get me a glass of water, signed by Holly, because I did whatever she asked me to do. And I'm like, you're gonna pay me back, sis. I still have that contract. One day I'll use it. But she didn't fight. I don't know what was happening that day, maybe something good for her, and she just said, yeah, sure, you can come with me. Maybe she realized it didn't work out for her going with one of my parents. I don't know. It was the only time, not the only time, but maybe one of the first times I remember her being like, my little sister, I'll help you. So I took this as a pre-interview to perform for the managers. So one day I would be a Blockbuster employee, and I wanted to share all my knowledge, all my movie ins and outs that I knew. And they would hire me next year when I was 15. And I remember being asked to sort the returns, to stock the candy, put them back on the shelves, things like that. But I pretended like I already worked there. I took that upon myself to be an employee for that day. Talking to customers, giving my recommendations, and all I wanted was that the manager would notice me and tell me what a great sister I was. I mean, employee. I wanted everyone who worked there to be my best friend. They were all my sister's friends, so that's the cool thing too. You want your sister's friends to be your friends. And I just wanted all the kids at school to be jealous. That was like top of my mind. I wanted all of them to wish that they were me. And for that one day, my sister briefly became my idol. And she made it look very effortless. And I remember being on such a high when I got home, just thinking, next year I'm going to interview. There's no doubt about it. And they're going to pick me, and they're going to say, Hillary, you're awesome. And the next day at school, I got to talk a little bit about my experience, and I could hear the whispers, or I thought I heard the whispers of kids going, oh my God, she's so cool. Wow, she got to do that. I got to go to an office. Oh my God, that's awesome. I did end up working there the next year. You can applaud that. Don't be shy. And during my actual interview, I reminded the manager of my one day working there for Take Your Kid to Work Day. And I talked about my sister and how much she loved me and adored me, and so you should love and adore me too. And I'm really happy that Blockbuster was my first job, and my outstanding performance got me in. I shouldn't have quit. Now every job I've had since then is shit. Nothing like being a teen, hanging out part-time, talking about movies, and having disposable income. But since that point in my life, it's been hard to recreate the youthfulness of Blockbuster. And I've had a lot of retail and customer service experience. I even worked at Zellers. Does anybody remember Zellers? Yeah, Zeddy. It was definitely not a job that I wanted, when I started, but I needed the job because at that time now, years later, my parents were separating and I had to find a place of my own after just turning 20. The Hamilton Mountain is just as crazy as downtown, so don't think mountain people are better, okay? I was a mountain person, I'm coining this term. I was a born mountaineer. And it's hard to admit, but Zellers was the center of the what the fuck is going on group, but those stories are for another time. Most jobs that I've taken have been out of necessity, and I needed that job to survive whether I liked it or not. As someone who does not have post-secondary education, I've had to rely on my charms and my street smarts to get that job and, giving that adoration. Please, please give me that job, the begging. But now I'm in a place with a lot of experience, even managerial experience, that could translate into so many different things, and it all started with Blockbuster. So I don't know if you could tell by that story, but I've got depression. Maybe, maybe not. But I like to tell everybody because, screw the elephant in the room, I've got it. I don't know how long, but probably forever. I mean, when I was born, I was screaming and crying. So I won't let that escape. I've tried about 5 different medications, and now I believe, and I can't believe how long it's taking to try and figure those things out. I mean, we can clone a sheep, but the complexities of your brain we'll never truly know. I'm in a weird limbo right now after not wanting to be around and stay in bed all day. I've graduated to being fucking nuts, putting my raw self out there for all to gawk. And I still have no clue what I'm doing, but I decided to just have fun and perform again in front of audiences. And I think it's interesting that this is the hobby that I chose, because most people with depression, I'm assuming, would try and do things like knitting, which I do, cooking, maybe reading. But I've always loved performing in one way or another, being in front of people who have to listen to me, listen to my voice, and it's addictive. Maybe that's why I chose to start it again. I've got an addictive mind. I smoke, I love to gamble, and now I perform. It's a different type of performing where I'm saying my own words and my own thoughts and seeing if people like them. Being a theater kid, I've always wanted to be up on stage and the lights showing off, and now I have to push myself to come here, be open to that rejection, which I hope you didn't reject me tonight. Thank you. And if my performance doesn't go well at this point, whatever medication I'm on, A, B, C, it does help me to not go home and sit in the bathtub, toaster optional. And I appreciate you listening to my stories tonight. And I'm, as Mike, I can't remember if you mentioned, but I do write poetry, try and do some comedy poetry. But I wrote a poem about performing. Little Hilly, grinning so big, not knowing the future. I've made all the sacrifices, and you left twice. I hardened myself because of you. I put up that fake face for so long. It's breaking now. I can't keep it. I can't keep it up without you. She is gone, the little happiness, the glue sticking me together, gone. Or is it smashed, crushed? Split in 3, a child, a mother, and now is not the perfect mask.